Hi everyone and welcome. I'm just out at my mother's Italian Rose. I've talked about this in other videos in the past, and you've seen me making things with both the flowers themselves and with the rose hips. It's just a beautiful single-petaled rose. As you can see, let me see if I can get in a little closer here. It's a very delicate little flower. They're very fragrant. I just think that they are among the most fragrant of all of the roses. And yet they're so simple. The color is lovely, sort of this purpley pink, but they're very prolific. This plant is, well, my mother planted it, I would say 25 years ago. It's pretty old, but it is a very well-behaved plant. It actually grows in an area just above kind of a little swampy area here. That's why you see all of that water pepper there. Another fabulous herb that is used in both tinctures and various teas, but maybe that's for another video. The highlight of this one is the Italian rose, because it is just such a tremendous plant. And I'm actually going to be harvesting some of the petals as they begin to fall. All right, so let me get to harvesting these and we'll get started. I'm going to just clean these up a bit. Well, not a whole lot. They don't need too much. They'll fall off these buds after I put them in the dehydrator. But I just decided, you know what? Everybody likes rose petals, and I use rose petals, of course, in all of my bath salts, but I'm going to make some bath bombs. And thought I would use these very petals that I was going to use for something else in these. I'm going to make some different types of bath bombs, but certainly some I'm going to use my own roses in. These are so very fragrant, very, very fragrant. Even dried, these smell lovely for months and months and months. So they'll be just delicious in a floral bath bomb. And the bath bombs I'm going to be making will be using my own dried goat milk. I did this started last year. I have a local dairy that has big industrial dehydrators. I'll try to put a picture of one of them on the screen. And those are how I can get a couple of gallons, several gallons actually, over the year of goat milk turned into lovely goat milk powder that I can use in bath bombs. I put it in my bath salts and a few different things. And I thought I would bring you along and just show you sort of how some of the process works. If you're interested in it, stick around and see what I'm doing here. That's a pretty little bud, isn't it? Oh, isn't that a lovely little bud? Yeah, so that's what's going on. So anyway, I've got quite a few of these. I'm going to get these dried and in the dehydrator. All right, so I've removed them from the dehydrator now, and they're nice and dried, but you can see oops, sorry, I keep doing that. They've held their color quite nicely. Yeah, and their scent, they smell divine. I just had to share something with you all. I was looking for something to put these roses in after I dried them, and I thought I had less than I did, so I ended up using a bigger jar. But here's what I wanted to show you. I couldn't find I was looking for a smaller one of these actually, and I couldn't find it. And I just grabbed this little urn of my mother's. Not that kind of urn, not a ash urn, but I just mean the style. And I thought, oh, I'll just stuff them in there. That'll be a cute place to keep them. And when I opened it, my mother had already had some roses in. Now they're all broken down. They've been in here for 10 years. I don't know how long they've been in there. But I was just so excited to see them. Something I looked at this was really, I saw it on a shelf and just reached up and grabbed it, and I thought, oh, that's pretty. I'd never mess with that thing, It had been sitting up there all these years. And I thought, I'll put roses in there. And here it had roses in it. I don't know. Isn't that what you call ironic? I don't know. I just thought I would share that with you all. Okay, I'll get to putting this together. Sorry, I get silly sometimes. So we're going to get started here with our baking soda. Now, I pre-measure this out in bags with all my ingredients before I ever get started. I'm fairly new to bath bomb making, so I decided to simplify it for myself. So if I know I'm making, depending on what size batch I'm making, I'm going to pre-measure all of my ingredients out in these bags, which I can have. This is the second time I've used them, and I'll use these over and over again. Why not? And it's a great way to measure them out, but it's also a great way to having to mess up a lot of dishes that you have to wash afterwards. I don't have to wash this. I empty out the baking soda, I zip it back up, and then, or before I zip it up, I fill it back up with baking soda again, of course pre-measuring it, and then put it back in the bag and zip it up so it's ready for my next batch. Very easy to do, and if it takes you a day or 2 or 3 days or a week or a month, your ingredients are still safely bagged up, all your separate ingredients in your separate bags. I just think it's a great way to do it, and it's a great use of one-use plastic. I try to make these things last for 10, 20, or more times with all sorts of different things. Anytime I use a one-use plastic, I try to make it a 10 times use plastic if possible. Anyway, so here we have our baking soda. Our citric acid. Cream of tartar. This is an optional ingredient. The whole thing is really up to you what you put inside any of your bath bombs. I like cream of tartar. I think it makes a harder bath bomb. Some people like it because it makes your bath bomb more foamy than fizzy, which is liked by a lot of people. It's a personal thing. What's going to make mine different is this, my own dehydrated goat milk. Oh, I love that color. You see how it's kind of that off-white color? I think that's just wonderful. And this is from the milk of June, Annie. It's a mixture of June, Annie, and Itsy, not Bitsy. Bitsy's the one who passed. And the first thing I'm going to do is let you know that because I'm making this in rose, I'm going to be coloring it with some rose clay. Just a little bit, doesn't take very much. Matter of fact, I'm going to start out just mixing a little bit of it at a time in here. And the reason I'm using a fork, I want to break up any of those clumps that are in here. You can, of course, use a spatula, spoon, whatever you like, whatever works for you. That's what's so beautiful about making things like this, is that you find what works for you. I find that the fork does a good job of breaking up those ingredients. And I was actually thinking about using this on, I'm about to make a soap as well, which is also using rose clay. Just a coincidence, I suppose, or the fact I have the ingredient out and it seemed like a good idea. So we'll see how that turns out. So right now I'm just blending my colors in, my color. I want it to show, but I do think I'm going to have to use the full amount that I had intended. I just wasn't sure. I didn't want it to be too dark. Now the lecithin, the sunflower lecithin that I'll use in this, which is an emulsifier, will help to disperse this so you won't have clumping or staining on your tub. I know most bath bomb makers use things like SLSA, sodium lauryl sulfate, or they use polysorbate 80. I personally cannot use those type of ingredients myself, so this is why I have gloves on. At this point, I'm going to just get in and do some hand blending here. Unfortunately, like I said, as many of you know, and this is where you want to wear a dust mask because these are very light ingredients and better not to inhale them. Oh, but where I was going with that, there's just so many things that I can't use on my skin. And I know that a lot of people that purchase from me are like that too. And maybe you are, maybe you're not. But I assure you that anything that I make, I try to make it as good for you as I possibly can. Is it going to be a showy? Is one that has all those other great lab ingredients in it? No, it probably won't. I'm sure it won't. This one's just one color, so you're only going to see the pink. But I assure you that it'll be healthy for you. The milk, the baking soda itself, what a comforting thing that is. You could, of course, add in anything you want. I actually have a recipe of my mother's that was a bath salt, but I'm modifying it for bath bombs. That will be an oatmeal, honey, and milk soap. Bath bombs, sorry. But you can make whatever you want. You can mix your ingredients however works for you. All right, I think we've got that well blended now. What do you think, that color? Can you make that out? All right. I have rose hip oil. It seems to fit the theme since we're going to be using rose petals in this, and we have the rose clay, and we have the oil that's in here. The rose hip oil is infused with my mother's Italian roses. You saw me picking and drying some of these, and so those are actually what are infused in this oil. There's also sunflower lecithin in here, and I'm now going to start to mix this in to my powders, to my dry ingredients. I live not far from a town called Tyler. If you look up Tyler, Texas, just put into your search engine, Tyler, Texas roses. You'll see that we are one of the rose capitals of the U.S. Some of the most beautiful roses in the world are grown right here. And matter of fact, I do have a rose. It's at the back of my house, so I'll try to get a picture of it for you and insert it in the video here. If I think about it, I will probably forget as I often do, but I'll try and show you exactly one of those roses. But I'll also show you some pictures from the rose show. They're just beautiful, and we just have the right soil here and the right climate for roses. Now, we went through that harsh winter recently, and that did affect some of the roses. Some of these roses came from climates where it doesn't get so cold. And so some of them were damaged, some even killed. But the great majority of them, because this is Texas and we have such hot summers, the roses were designed, they are designed actually. They're breeds that, many of them, that were created here by hybridizers of roses. And they have created some roses that just really flourish here in our hot Texas summers. Ones that are more resistant to burning or scalding, sunburning, as it were. Now, some of the varieties like the white and the yellow roses, you've heard of the yellow rose of Texas. It's actually not a rose, it's a cactus blossom. But white and yellow roses here, oh good, it's already getting to a clumping consistency. And I will be actually doing that now. Just a few spritzes of 99% alcohol, just to kind of help bring it all together. All right, so because this has to compress it, I'm still learning just the right amount to put in and compress. I have found that holding it in place is helpful. And then press down as hard as I can, but not so hard that it shoots the bath bomb out. And ideally, you should leave your bath bombs to sit for a few hours before you take them out of the mold. But because I'm anxious and want to show you now, I'm going to go ahead and take the top off. A good rule of thumb is to give a slight tap to loosen it and then lift it off. And there we have, I hope. I don't know that this is going to hold together because, like I said, you shouldn't take it out this quickly. But maybe because the goat milk powder mixed with the oil kind of creates a kind of glue. This is holding much better than I would have thought. And there we have a bath bomb. Isn't that terrific? Now, I'm actually going to crush this one, put it back in, because I forgot one of the most important ingredients. My mother's rose petals. That's what I was going to add. So, just to give you an example, is I've just put some of the petals down in the bottom. Then I'm adding in my mix here. Hope this will work. I just made a mess, didn't I? I am good at that. Are you as good at making a mess as I am? It's something I excel at. I may have overfilled this one a little, and that's okay. So again, I'm going to press down to just kind of compress it a bit. And there we have our rose petals and our bath bomb. What do you think? Well, I'm going to go ahead and finish putting these together. I know I've wasted a lot of your time today, but these will be in the store along with several others that I'm working on. And I hope that you enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun putting these together. Thanks so much, everyone, and I'll see you back soon. Goodbye.